Oh, okay, so we get to another yet another segment where we bring you stories from people who've done amazing things in the society. I don't want to say a lot about it because she's here to. We have recorded what she's saying, and so it's going to be airing right now. So I introduce to you Ashley Mungai with the Hands and Feet organization.
Hi, my name is Ashley Wanjiro Mungai. I am 20 years old and I'm currently studying international law at the University of Warwick in the UK. So Hands and Feet is basically an organization that at the time 7 of my best friends and I started. We started it when we were about 14 or 15 years old, thereabout, and it's been going on for the past 5 years. The reason that we chose the name Hands and Feet is because we were inspired by the verse in Matthew that says, Christ has no hands on earth but yours, and Christ has no feet on earth but yours. There's also a poem that we all try to kind of just live by, and it talks about being the hands and feet that you can use to change the world. That you don't always have to wait for that other person to come and make a difference. It's your time. If you have hands and feet, whatever you have and whatever you are is enough to make a difference. And that's what we really seek to do with Hands and Feet as a charity. But every year we try to do a different project. So for instance, when we first started off with sanitation projects. We've helped put in a borehole in the community. We helped start one of the first libraries in the entire area as well. Because where we work is in rural northern Samburu. So there's generally no electricity, no running water. You rarely get phone signal, but that's where we feel that we've been called to work with and try and make a difference. We started this project half because we were introduced and the other half because it was by accident. So we were about 15, as I mentioned, and we were all doing President's Award. Also, it was probably going to be like the last time all of us were going to be together. We were like, okay, we want to make an impact in the community, but we also want to do something that we're going to remember as a friendship group. And we're thinking, let's have a memorable trip as well. So we found out that there were missionaries in our school who had a project in North Samburu. And they invited us to come up and spend a week with them, see what they're doing, and just to work with them and spend a week in their lives. So we went up, and when we were there, we said we had this whole plan of what we thought the community needed, which was a sanitation campaign. We realized that's really not what they needed. And after spending time with them, going into the high schools, talking to the girls, meeting what for me is the most inspirational woman I've ever met, who is one of the sole activists against FGM and early marriage in the entire area, that changed my life. And for me, that's the reason why we keep going back. Because for me, every time I think back as to why we really started, for me it goes back to this one instance when we were in a high school and we'd been talking to the girls and everything, and then we kicked out the boys and we kept talking. And one of the girls came up to me and asked me, how is it that you have boys in your group and you can talk? And I was like, sorry? It sounded very foreign to me, and I was like, how is it that we're in the 21st century and this is still happening? That she couldn't believe that I could be confident enough to stand up and talk to them. Because for us sitting there and talking to these girls, even just this girl seeing that, okay, I'm a girl, I'm 15 at that age, I'm not married, I don't have a kid, not planning on getting any, and I can actually be confident to stand up, for her that made a difference. And I realized that me just being there and me just talking made a difference in her life. So we realized that we want to keep doing something that's going to make a difference. Progress is always slow. That's what I always think. It's starting today doesn't mean that things are going to change tomorrow. And in the 5 years that we've been working, that school had never, ever had a graduating class of girls in who knows how many years since it started. But in the time that we've been doing our project, going into the community, talking to the girls, working with them, doing activism against FGM and early marriage and the importance of education, about 2 years ago, was it last year, they had their first ever graduating class of girls. And for me, that was confirmation that somehow God is moving and somehow God is using us crazy 15, 14-year-olds to change somebody else's life. More girls are starting to say no to FGM because we're showing them that there is an alternative, there is an option, and there is a value to education. Because even right now we have about 70 kids that are now staying in a dorm that we built, and they are learning. They are still in school. A lot of them are girls who probably their families who would have taken them out of school, and those kids are still getting an education. It's very hard sometimes to be on the ground 24/7, and that's why in the last 2 years since we've been in campus, we started the feeding program, which is acting as a place where the kids in the entire community can come and have a meal in the morning and then a meal after school in the evening. And also, this is also around the dorm where the girls are still living and things like that. Because we wanted a project that could still continue even when we're not there. But we make an effort to go up at least twice a year. So usually during this longer holiday for us, but around July or August, and then also try up and go up in December. One thing I can definitely say is that we started this project when we were 15 and we were 14. We were kids for all practical purposes. And when we started it, our parents also didn't necessarily believe in our vision because they're like, why are you going up to Samburu? There's clashes, there's this, there's that. But I'm in the strong belief that each and every one of us has greatness within us because we have the Holy Spirit within us. And because we have that greatness, it's just a question of, are you willing to let that greatness out? Whatever you have, even if it's just your hands or your feet, or if it's your voice, you can talk, that thing that you think is so insignificant is more than enough to change somebody else's life. You don't have to wait until you're grown up, 20, 30, to make a difference. If anything, a kid standing up and talking to another kid is more powerful than any adult coming and talking to them. So I think that's it.